Okay, so Sam Seder from the Majority Report put out a video yesterday saying, "Don't join the Yang Gang." And these types of videos have been coming out from Michael Brooks and Sam Seder at the Majority Report. And they really do seem to be anti-Yang over there. Um, and I believe to not be a reactionary here. I believe that if we're not thinking, we're reacting, and I don't want to be that person. So I'm trying to hear out Sam Seder and what he has to say. Okay, and he does have some valid points. I think he's wrong on a few things, but his underlying concern, for the most part, is valid. So we're going to dig into the video. I'll post the video down below so you can watch the full Sam Seder video. But I'm just going to cherry pick a few things and then go over them with you. And first I would like to say, Sam Seder is pro-UBI. Okay, he's been pro-UBI. He's pro-UBI before he ever heard of Andrew Yang. And he made that clear. But the main point of Sam Seder's problem with Andrew Yang is that Andrew Yang's freedom dividend should not be touching our welfare system. It must be over and above it. This is something I refer to as left-wing UBI, that it doesn't encroach on our existing government systems. So that's basically Sam Seder's argument. And he said things like, quote, "The UBI that Andrew Yang is proposing will eventually, not now, eventually, make things like food stamps and Social Security plus other welfare programs go away," end quote. Talking about UBI, Sam Seder goes on, quote, "The reason why someone like Milton Friedman and libertarians subscribe to a UBI is so that they can dismantle the welfare state," end quote. Okay, so Andrew Yang has an opt-in where someone can either opt for the freedom dividend or stay with their current current benefit system. Okay, whether they're getting food stamps, whether they're getting WIC, whether they're getting whatever the government assistance is, they can opt into the freedom dividend. Okay, so the freedom dividend has an opt-in, and this is going to drastically minimize these government programs. People are going to opt into the freedom dividend, and these programs, kind of on their own, are going to get weaned off. They're going to dry up. They're going to get minimized, and then politicians may come in and say, "Hey, look, people want the freedom dividend. Let's just get rid of these government programs. Let's get rid of these social safety nets. Everybody wants the freedom dividend." And this is kind of like the libertarian Trojan horse theory, where Andrew Yang is supposedly this libertarian Trojan horse, where he's going to come in, propose something, and then in due time, eventually, these programs will be attacked and erased, and therefore leaving a fairly large section of the population very vulnerable, even though they have the dividend. So Sam Seder goes on here. The only problem with the UBI I have, and I said this 3 years ago, is that the UBI has to be in addition to the welfare state. It's too easy for it to function as a Trojan horse. Okay. Going on here, Sam says, "Food stamps are something that kicks in with economic stabilizers. This is what this means. When you have inevitable downturns in the economy, more people lose their jobs, they have less money, they fall below the threshold that allows them to get food stamps. If you eliminate the food stamps program because maybe you're giving out UBI payments at the time where the economy is doing well, how do you deal with the people when the economy goes south?" Okay, end quote. So he's saying these programs are going to not be there if the economy takes a downturn. Things get very bad, and there's no food stamps. There's no There's no WIC. There's no government programs to protect the vulnerable. And the freedom dividend, might not cover that. Okay, and this is why they call it a safety net. So by erasing the safety net, we're leaving people more vulnerable. And once again, I agree with this, with the underlying concern with Sam Seder. Okay, what about the most vulnerable people among us? When the economy takes a downturn, what's going to happen then? No welfare, no food stamps, no protective measures against an ailing, flailing capitalist economy that is just constantly moving and constantly shifting. And okay, what about the safety nets? So the underlying argument is mostly valid, and that's why, as a progressive like Sam, I want a left-wing UBI. I agree that the dividend should be paid out on top of existing benefits for the sake that we keep our safety net secure and untouched in case the economy does take a downturn. It's a viable, it's very meaningful to keep our social safety net in place and pay the dividend on top of that. So they serve different functions, and it makes sense. So one other note here: Andrew Yang was on the Humanist Report about a month ago, maybe 2 months now, and Mike Figueredo, the host, called out Andrew Yang and said, "Hey, why don't you pay out the freedom dividend on top of Social Security benefits?" And they had a robust dialogue about it, and maybe a couple months later, Andrew Yang pivoted, and he said he will pay out the dividend on top of Social Security benefits. Just one time he went on the Humanist Report, had a conversation, and then was convinced, and he pivoted towards a left-wing UBI and changed that one thing. So maybe Andrew Yang doesn't really understand where it could be a problem, because I really believe Andrew Yang has good intent. I really believe that Andrew Yang is acting in good faith here. I don't believe he's a Trojan horse. Could he be somewhat naive? Very possible. Because I believe Andrew Yang is humanity first. He's humanity driven. A lot of his policies reflect that. So I don't see Andrew Yang as a bad actor. He's not a bad faith actor here. He just might be naive of some implications, and that's okay. Andrew Yang isn't perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We don't have perfect solutions. We build solutions. We talk about solutions. We break them down and build them up. And that's what we're trying to do here. So let's have a productive talk down in the comments about this. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this. And like I said, I'll leave the link down below so you can watch the video in full. And let's get on this. Like, share, and subscribe, and click the bell.